Welcome to Like Pigs in Space, an arts and culture podcast. I'm Aaron Mason.
And I'm Max Mason.
And this week I am taking the helm. So
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
I didn't have anything prepared, so it's good.
Oh, good. Well, then this is working out to your advantage. I made a discovery. I guess I always knew this, but last night in particular. So they say I've been doing a lot of health things at work. They just send out little notes because they're all about mental health and physical health, and so some of it is about sleeping. And so they'll send out little notes about how to best prepare for sleep. And it says turn phones off and have a quiet time, maybe read a book, stay away from blue light. And all of that is the exact opposite for me. I found out because so last night I was looking at a topic for today that I had begun looking at, but it was last minute. So I was trying to read a bunch of stuff on it. And so I was thinking about that. And so all night, my mind was running through the entirety of what I was going to say, like word by word, explaining it. And I realized, and this, I knew this, but when I do creative things, it wakes me up. And so I guess reading a book might be a little bit different, but researching, that's going to be right out for making me sleepy. Playing a absolutely mindless game on the phone makes me fall asleep, and I sleep just fine. Maybe reading a book where I'm not thinking too much works, but doing research for a podcast does not make me sleepy. So if there's a sense of neurosis about this is why.
Okay, well, that's good.
I also noticed that last time I presented, I think I talked really fast at the beginning. I was trying to get a lot of information in. It sounded like my voice was chipmunked up, but I think it was just because I was trying to get a lot of information out and not and so I'm trying to have a better pace.
Okay.
So all these things we learn as we go.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try and.
I was thinking about, like, I've talked about music a few times. Like, I wonder if it's even interesting to just go track by track, and like, I wonder if there could be a better way to talk about the album and maybe jump around the songs instead of just going one by one. And
I think there could be benefit in it if you watch the One Song podcast. Although they're doing one song, they're jumping around different songs by the artist as well. And so that's kind of, as the thought comes to them. I do like the string of consciousness type of thing. In this one, I'm going to slightly follow your format of track by track, but not in, we'll see. We'll see how it works out, right?
Okay.
This is an experiment of merging styles, maybe.
Yeah.
And like we talked about, or like it seems to keep happening, I mentioned that there's going to be a little bit of a history lesson first. And then to lay the groundwork, because this covers some very distinct styles and movements, and it is music related, but let's see. So first question is, what music, so do you remember, you've listened to Jug Band with us, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what would you say characterizes something as a Jug Band song? I guess it's kind of the thought exercise first.
I think the instrumentation of it, the sounds used, and the percussive elements of it, because I don't think a lot of Jug Band has like drums or anything.
Right.
A lot of the percussion comes from, like, especially like with a bass or the slapping of the strings. So more organic sounding percussion, I think, plays into it.
So, I think that's exactly right. So typically the bass, and this will play into why this is important. Typically the bass sounds come from a jug, because they're blowing into a jug or blowing over the top and making the hoo hoo type sound.
Yeah.
Also, a classic version of a bass used in Jug Band is a wash tub bass. which is basically a wash tub with a broom handle stuck to it and a string. and
Mm-hmm.
it's thump, bump, bump, but it's homemade.
Yeah.
So the musical movement that it's related to jug band, but it's also related to a lot of other things. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called skiffle. Have you heard of skiffle?
I don't think so.
Okay. So it's actually a fairly significant or influential movement, although brief, because of just kind of how it occurred. So it really did start back in the 20s, and it has elements of jug band, of blues, of folk, of jazz. But some of the key elements of it are that it's also a lot of homemade instruments.
Oh, okay.
And it's upbeat. So like a lot of jug band, it's bouncy and upbeat, and then it's also those homemade, and it's also performative. Let me see, what was the other thing I wrote? It was upbeat driving rhythm, and DIY instruments and ethic is a prevalent characteristic. So
Gotcha.
it didn't gain a lot of traction in that time. It's from the South. It was a thing, kind of faded away, but then it resurged in popularity, and that popularity happened in the UK in the 1950s.
Okay.
Okay, so it's kind of, and what's really interesting, and you'll see why, is that there's two different movements or two different music styles that the UK grasped onto of American styles, and they were skiffle and blues. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, and both of those were ones that the UK rock bands grabbed onto, and basically both of those are the precursors to rock and roll.
Yeah. Okay.
Skiffle is just the immediate precursor. So, and the reason is the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Who, and basically Led Zeppelin all originated as skiffle bands. Their members were. So the first Beatles album is rife with skiffle songs, style songs. The Rolling Stones did it as well, but and then the Rolling Stones moved on, and like the Who and Led Zeppelin embraced blues fully. So, but Jimmy Page, go ahead.
Oh, so was it like they had all the members of the band had done skiffle things before forming?
Right. And the Beatles are probably the only ones that made it a part of their of the Beatles, not the just what they grew up in. It was just the very popular music for the 1950s in the UK.
Yeah.
And so they all grew up in that. They all were starting around 60 to 64. And so they had grown up as younger. So maybe when they were like 19, 20, it's the 60s. But when they were 13, 14, it was the 50s. Skiffle was huge in the UK. They were all playing it. That's what you played. That was the fun.
Okay.
That was the stuff you played in clubs. And so Jimmy Page at 13, as a guitar virtuoso, playing skiffle, and he was on TV with his band, which was a skiffle band, and being interviewed and everything. There's footage and stuff of Jimmy Page.
Nice.
And so that's where he fully started, and then blew everything away from there. But so significant, right? Significant impact. It is, and the thing to remember is the homemade or DIY aesthetic. That's what's important. And so if you name, those are the characteristics, and simple and accessible.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's important too, because as you'll see the journey. The other side of this is, so that's just fun music, but also 20th century music that was occurring is protest music.
Okay. Yeah.
And this was kind of interesting as I'm looking back at it, because it really was. It was not a lot of it prior to the 20th century. I found a band called the Hutchison Family Singers, who in the mid-19th century sung about women's rights, abolition, and temperance, meaning not getting drunk.
Okay.
So that's women's rights, anti-slavery, and they were befriended by Abraham Lincoln. So mid 1800s, right?
Yeah.
Then there's Leadbelly, and that was more civil rights for blacks and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was his thing. He's probably more characterized as a blues folk. But then there was Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger. And
Oh, yeah.
they kind of grew up together doing their thing. And they started back in maybe the 40s, so right after the Great Depression.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if you listen to my subject matter here over the last little bit, you'd swear I was, born during the Great Depression. And it's not really that. It's just that I appreciate what it inspired. So that modernist era that we talked about with Kenneth Fearing, so there's that approach where that very cynical. Woody Guthrie, most of his 1940s to 1960s is folk music. He focused on labor and social issues coming from the Great Depression, and he also did many other songs. Like he did albums of kids songs, and he had playful songs, like just tons of different. He had fun songs. He had protest songs. He also had Americana. And so do you know what his most famous song is?
Is it, I might be confusing it, but is it This Land Is Your Land?
Exactly. Yeah. And which was a huge hit. It kind of reminds me, and this was the funny part. When I was in high school, the big song was by Bruce Springsteen, was Born in the USA.
Yeah.
So that sounds patriotic. This sounds patriotic, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it is if you're not a jerk.
Yeah.
Meaning this land is for everyone. You should be kind to everyone, is what it's saying.
Yeah. Like it is loving America if you also recognize the issues of America.
Right. Same with Born in the USA is a very subversive song, but it has this chorus that everyone's like, Born in the USA, but it's really subversive and it's really a protest song. And Bruce Springsteen is really a successor of Woody Guthrie. He's he's kind of a folk rock successor of that thing. He was social issues, labor, all of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. We're not talking about Bruce Springsteen, but it was a similar. It is a good example that it was. This Land Is Your Land is a very, very popular. Was sung in schools, everything.
Yeah.
And it is also has a very strong message that most people don't understand. But the other one is Roll on Columbia. So that's about the Columbia River, your Columbia River.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so those were the kind of the Americana. He had Celebration of the Downtrodden. So there's one called Hobo's Lullaby. Mm-hmm. So it's there's actually a couple, but he celebrates those that are the hobos. Yeah. Saying they're worthy of, and that one is the line from that is just such a punch is go to sleep, you weary hobo, let the town slip slowly by, tonight you're in a nice warm box car, that's the whole hobo's lullaby. And then he goes, the police, they give you trouble, they make trouble everywhere, when you die and go to heaven, there'll be no policeman there. So nice. It's very, it's a punch. And then there's Pastures of Plenty, which is a Dust Bowl anthem.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he is a prolific writer. He is a direct influence for Bob Dylan. Mm-hmm. And so they're kind of, and the things that are different is that Bob Dylan and Pete Seeger are very much about the struggle and the fight and the family and the movement of folk music. And that's their life. Pete Seeger is still around. He is fully folk music. That's everything to him. Mm-hmm. And about the struggle. He goes to protests and marches and everything. That's his life. Nice. And it's great. Bob Dylan is that. Plus music in general. Bob Dylan's far more of a poet and a performer and an innovator, and not just strictly folk. But he was a huge fan of Woody Guthrie and got to meet him and got to be around him. Mm-hmm. The sad thing about Woody Guthrie is he had Huntington's disease, and he was basically hospitalized from 1956 to 1967.
Oh, wow.
And he passed away in 1967. But there is a number of songs and things by Bob Dylan about Woody Guthrie because he did know him and he did spend time with him and he was completely a devotee. So, and we'll come back to Woody Guthrie in just a second, but so if you're talking, the next generation is Bob Dylan and then there's Phil Oakes. And there's lots of others. There's Joan Baez. There's tons of other folk protest singers.
Mm-hmm.
But these are of the kind that will lead to where I'm going.
Okay.
So Bob Dylan, I love listening to his stuff, but there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of humor in his work.
Yeah. Right.
And there's a lot of cleverness in his writing. Phil Oakes is a great protest singer, and he's less poetic than Bob Dylan, meaning that he says stuff straight out. So he's more raw. Like there's one called Small Circle of Friends that he does that is somebody's out there, there's a lady outside, she's getting stabbed, maybe we should stop what's going on, but it doesn't really influence anything outside of a small circle of friends, so we really don't want to step in and make trouble if it's not really our people, it's not really our friends. And then there's another one about the state of Mississippi, and that one is just straight up hate for the government.
Cool.
So there's here's to the state of Mississippi, and it just basically calls out the state of Mississippi over and over and over again. It says, like, here's to the schools of Mississippi while they're teaching all the children that they don't have to care. All the rudiments of hatred are present everywhere, and every single classroom is a factory of despair, and there's nobody learning such a foreign word as fair.
Wow.
He's harsh. And then there's the other one is he does one about going to war, and the line is, always the rich sending the poor off to war, is basically what he's saying. And it's just straight up, he says it. There's no hiding it. And there's a song that's similar by Bob Dylan called Masters of War that is more poetic and kind of a hidden message, but it's still very easy to understand, but it's more poetically done. So
that's funny, because that sounds like System of a Down took that completely in BYOB.
Yeah.
It's like, why do they always send the poor?
Yeah. Oh no, that's his. That's what it's called. I ain't marching anymore is what it's called. And it says, and it's just so, it says, I stole California from the Mexican lands, fought in the Blaze Civil War. I even killed my brothers and so many others. I ain't marching anymore. And then it's always the old to lead us to the wars, always the young to fall. Now look at all we've won with the saber and the gun. Tell me, is it worth it at all? And I ain't marching anymore. It's just, that's the thing. But yeah, it's that idea is from Phil Oakes.
Right. Yeah.
And I think he even has more songs that say that, but it's just different wars and how stupid they were is basically what his message is. And he's very blatant about it. And it's good stuff. And they're good songs. It's just they don't hide the message at all.
Yeah.
So so just to encapsulate, we have 1800s, there's a little bit of it. Woody Guthrie covered half of the, kind of the middle of the 20th century, and there's and really it's that time from the Great Depression up to the Civil Rights Movement that is probably the reason there's so much protest music and so many. It didn't really occur as much until it just gained speed. So Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger are the base, and then everything built off of that, and then they spawned more. And then the 60s was a lot of political upheaval, a war that was unpopular, very vague reason for being at war, went on too long in Vietnam, and they come off the Korean War, which was also kind of confusing. A little bit better reason, but still. And so they went from the 40s to the 50s to 60s and having war in all 3 decades.
Wow. Yeah.
And so the protests increased. And so then you get Bob Dylan, Phil Oakes, a slew of others. Like I said, Joan Baez, and Pete Seeger was still active. And then we talked about jug band, which is that DIY thing. So folk and jug band are kind of cousins.
Yeah.
Skiffle spawned that kind of aesthetic, but spawned the rock and roll side of it. Then the next evolution would be punk.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
I think punk is a natural combining of the two sides. And the reason is that they would take inspiration from a Phil Oakes type where they just say what they're going to say.
Mm-hmm.
But they had the variety of a Bob Dylan or a Woody Guthrie where they did talk about social issues, but they were more like skiffle. So the funny thing is that the direct line is really skiffle rock and roll punk.
Yeah.
And so skiffle is really can be argued as the origins of punk because it's DIY, it's upbeat, driving rhythm, simple and accessible.
Yeah.
The same thing for both. If you really want to argue it, is skiffle is really punk is what skiffle turned is where
Skiffle is proto-punk.
Yeah, there you go. And so they took it further. They're more disrespectful, violent, crass in their writing, so very raw, and probably a good example of postmodern style.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it wasn't really about meaning; it was about the sound and upsetting people. So they were probably more beat and postmodern.
Okay.
Because they're trying to get a reaction. I think that's kind of where it goes. So what would happen if you combined punk and folk and protest into one thing? What do you think that would look like?
I would think it'd look a lot like very loud acoustic guitars.
Yeah, that's very good. And that's a good assessment of what would most likely be the result. And in fact, it is. I actually went, just as a side thing, I was here in the 80s in Tucson. There was a place called Cafe Olé.
Okay.
And it was a restaurant and a music venue. And you go in and it was a split. So there's like two sides of the building. And so the music venue wasn't always open, but when it was kind of open to everything. And they had a patio section where the restaurant could be. Anyway, we went and there was a band that was a folk punk band. So the first half of their show was folk.
Oh.
And then the second half was punk.
Oh, interesting.
And they may even kept the instruments and just turned on the electricity for the second half or something.
Yeah.
So it was that was always fun. Or that was a fun experience. So what happened is, and kind of went through the process, is an artist called Billy Bragg, who I know you've heard because you grew up in our house. But Billy Bragg started learned skiffle, was fascinated by it, was in a punk band called Riff Raff to begin with, and then was a solo artist with a single guitar, who basically, his was an electric, but it was just him and his guitar for the first album or two. Well, 3 albums maybe, and 4 albums. But trying to remember where he started orchestrating stuff, but it was
later on.
Yeah, so he had, and what I'm talking about today is the first U.S. release by Billy Bragg, which happens to be his first 2 albums and an EP all together in one place, in one release. So the album's called Back to Basics and it was released in 1987. So what Back to Basics includes is his first album, which is Life's a Riot with Spy vs. Spy.
Okay.
And second one is Brewing Up with Billy Bragg, and the EP is Between the Wars. So I'll explain a few things of all of that because I think, so do you know what an EP is?
Yeah. I got an extended play.
Yeah. So it's a short album.
Yeah.
So it has the EP has 4 songs on it, on this one, on his. Do you know what Spy versus Spy is?
Is it a movie?
No, it's it's a cartoon.
Is it the mice?
Well, they're not mice. They have pointed noses.
Okay.
It's from Mad Magazine.
Okay.
So there's a white spy and a black spy, white in color. As a black and white drawing, and they had these cartoons where they'd fight each other and try. It's kind of like I guess kind of like Tom and Jerry, where they always are trying to blow each other up.
Yeah.
But it's Spy versus Spy, which is from Mad Magazine. So So there are 21 tracks.
Okay.
But I want to go through because the thing, and there's still some explanation before the track discussion, but Billy Bragg is characterized by his political activeness.
Mhm.
And I got this on tape. I got this album on tape. It had to be in '87. Like I got it short. We knew about Billy Bragg.
Mhm.
I got it when I moved up to Tempe from Tucson. And I graduated '89. I got it so maybe it was '88. I got the tape. Okay.
Mhm.
My friend had gone to his dad or somebody had gone to Canada and
Okay.
gotten a couple of the albums there that were not released in the US
Oh, okay.
for them. And so we had been listening to stuff, or I don't know how we heard it, but I heard Billy Bragg very early on. I was very much a fan. Told people this is Billy Bragg is who radicalized me when I was a youth. I
Yeah.
just bought it hook, line, and sinker, really. And I was talking to somebody else who's my age who back then had heard of Billy Bragg and is like, oh, I just knew that he was a communist, so I shouldn't listen to it. And it's like,
Oh.
and then they found out it's like, well, he's not really a communist. But he's not a conservative either.
Yeah.
He's a work party is what it's called in England, which is more about unions and more of like what would be the Democratic Party here. Kind of why the Democratic Party is big with like iron workers and the unions. Same there. That's what the work party is.
Okay.
That's at least that element of it. And the other thing that he's clever. His writing is very clever. I was looking through the lyrics for these songs, and I also noticed that I hadn't really kind of put together before is that these are exactly what a song would be if it was a punk song and a folk song put together.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is they're all about a 2.5 minute runtime. They're all pretty short on lyrics, and they've got a catchy hook for most of them. So
yeah,
so I'm like, oh, this is exactly what it would be.
Yeah, right.
And so I'd like to start with and they're clever titles. They have a lot of meaning to them. So this one is off Life's a Riot, which is 7 songs.
Okay.
And the first one's called The Milkman of Human Kindness. And so that's already a clever thing, And,
right.
But it says that the quote comes from, it says, Lady Macbeth in Act 1, Scene 5 of Macbeth says, Glamis thou art and cauter and shalt be. What thou art promised, yet do I fear thy nature is too full, oh, the milk of human kindness. So, and that's kind of, we always know about the milk of human kindness, but his phrasing is really interesting because he says things like, if you're lonely, I'll call. If you're poorly, I'll send poetry. If you're sleeping, I'll wait. If your bed is wet, I'll dry your tears. And I kind of like that fun cause and effect. I'm going to address the thing. I'm not going to try and stop you from sleeping. I'm not going to try and change you. I'm going to be there for you. And he says,
right.
And so the chorus, if that's what you can call it, is I love you. I'm the milkman of human kindness. I will leave an extra pint. And just that as a starter. And then it's just a pleasant thing. And then he has this refrain that he keeps doing. At one point, it says, hold my hand for me, I'm waking up. And he just says that over and over again. And so it's just kind of a neat, I think that's the voice of his lover.
Yeah.
Is he's singing in that voice. And so he's kind of singing both parts. And so that is neat. And then what's interesting and what's hard about, I was kind of going through lyrics and stuff, is that they're in a different track order. Some of the British release is different than the US release.
I think I really like that in songs where you aren't necessarily keyed in on who the character is.
Right.
Like, I feel like a lot of like emo songs, they'll say things like, and she said, and say like, okay, this is another person.
Right.
And I don't know, I like songs where it's like, is this the main character, or is this someone talking to the writer, or
right. Yeah.
And you just have to figure it out on your own. Yeah.
When you don't have like two singers, which happens. I mean, we know some good bands that are a male and a female, or it's something like that. Then having the guy trying to sing both parts is really kind of fascinating. and trying to figure out if that's what it is. And it's more poetical too. You know, I think he considers himself a poet more than maybe a singer. And I guess if you don't know Billy Bragg, so I'll just, for anybody that hasn't heard him, he sings. He's from Barking, England, and he sings.
Okay.
His singing voice is also accented.
Okay.
So he has a British accent when he sings and when he talks. And so that's always an interesting thing. Which is also more punk. So the British punks sang in a accent, right? They kept the British accent because it was more like sneery and raw and genuine, I think is the idea. And so that's the punk element. The social consciousness is the folk element. So, and he's very, very, very politically active. He is like Woody Guthrie. It's like Pete Seeger in that he's out fighting for what he believes in. And he's on news shows a lot since the 80s. He doesn't just show up and perform. He'll be on a news show just to give political commentary, which is just cool.
Yeah, really cool.
The next song is To Have and To Have Not, which is basically my personal theme song.
Okay.
To Have and To Have Not there's a Ernest Hemingway book called To Have and Have Not. I'm not really sure. A lot of these seem to hearken to some other topic. So it's not always is the title of the song in the song.
Okay.
It doesn't ever say To Have and To Have Not in the song. That's just the title of it.
Okay.
So there's some back and forth. So the Milkman of Human Kindness, yes. A couple of the other ones, yes, they say it. But it's also a clever thing. And you'll see some of the cleverness later. But this one is the one that starts with, it's talking about going out and growing up and getting schooling and how it's kind of pointless, it seems, because it says, you're up in the morning and out to school. Mother says there'll be no work next year. Qualifications, once the golden rule, are now just pieces of paper. And so, it's kind of there. It may be hopeless, but the chorus is, just because you're better than me doesn't mean I'm lazy. Just because you're going forward doesn't mean I'm going backward. And that's the theme. I mean, and then also it says in the place of the going backward is just because I dress like this doesn't mean I'm a communist. and so those choruses are on continuous repeat in my head.
Wow.
And so whenever I'm like thinking about how I compare to somebody else or where I'm at, I'm like, well, just because you're better than me doesn't mean I'm lazy, and just because you're going forwards doesn't mean I'm going backwards. And that whole thing is a great way to understand where you're at, because everybody's at their own speed, everybody's doing their own thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good. Next one is the next one's called Richard, and it's kind of a love song. So there's a lot of what are love songs on this, and so that's kind of fun. Let me see if I can.
Was that ever a part of like the skiffle music too, or anything? Is just as much protest as is a part of it? Is love songs always fit in there somewhere, or is this more unique to Billy?
I think that this is more unique because it's more of a heritage from the folk music, and also the fact that it does address things that are real to the artist, like a punk song is very much about what's happening. Like it's. And so while it does have some protests to it, if you look at punk songs, they're also about partying. They're about getting in fights. They're about, driving down the street, or they're just about whatever. I mean, about heavy metal, about, I don't know. Like there's no,
whatever they want.
It's whatever you want because it's punk, right? And I think it's just he has the sensibility of like Bob Dylan, where he has a poetic side. He just is writing. It's like Bob Dylan in brevity.
Okay, gotcha.
Because they're much shorter songs lyrically, for the most part, and that's kind of cool. But they're also very clever, and I think that's something that he just it's just neat. It's just there's so many songs that are as you go through all of his albums, there's a lot of clever song titles and a lot of clever uses, turns of phrase that are just really enjoyable. It's a fun adventure.
Oh, and I just thought with the To Have and Have Not, have you read the Hemingway book about it? Or does it relate in any way like that? Or
it kind of is. It says it is about it's a fishing boat captain in Florida, and it's about a struggling fisherman in the Florida Keys during the Great Depression. And it says it's an episodic novel, so it's kind of about the struggle, about a struggle, but it's not necessarily a straight lift of what it was. There's a movie about it that by the same title. It's pretty it says explores themes of economic inequality, moral compromise, and the struggle for survival. So in that sense it is, because it's and because it's that idea of having and the haves and the have-nots,
right.
So it does follow that idea, but I don't know if it's a straight interpolation other than the idea of the title. And then Richard is just it's a kind of a love song, but it's really interesting because it's got a lot of clever phrases in it. Like the beginning is Richard belongs to Jane, but Jane belongs to yesterday. So how can I go on when every alpha particle hides a neon nucleus? It's just this whole like, well, how can you survive when all these trivial things are happening that really don't, it's like they're getting caught up over the smallest thing. And so it's like when you get really upset about a small thing that's happening and not seeing the big picture. And it says, but the end of it is really interesting where it's this back and forth. And then it says where it seems like he's looking at people at the party and what they're doing and how can they go on if it's these little things. But then he says, you helped me build this bed, but you won't help me sleep in it. When I fall between you and the wall, our titanic love affair sails on the morning tide. So it's like this big thing is just sailing off, because you're not even gonna contribute anything to it, and it just our love just sailed off. And so it's a pretty clever song to listen to. It's pretty fun. And then this is I like this one. It's called Lover's Town Revisited. And so this is just kind of a lighter song. And it says, it's fun to look at the lyrics. And I don't know what kind of impression they're making, but it says it's that summer of the evening, get ready and roll the cassette. There's boys outside preaching genocide and trying to think of some sort of threat. And the ladies in the cloakroom take no notice of me. I wish myself was back at home, but there's nothing safe in watching TV. So like it speaks to your inadequacies and your self-consciousness. There's a lot of stuff going on around him, and it says and at the end it says you can do all these things, but fighting in the dance halls happens anyway. Sometimes it makes me stop and think, sometimes it makes me turn away. And that's the refrain. He kind of says that, and then he says but most times it makes me run away. Like he's kind of it seems like it's speaking to his nervousness and his lack of self-confidence. So it's a very vulnerable song on that part. And then this is the song he's probably most well known for and has also been covered by the most people. And it's called A New England. So and it's and it also lifts a line from Simon and Garfunkel. And it starts with it. It says, I was 21 years when I wrote this song. I'm 22 now, but I won't be for long. That's a direct quote from Simon and Garfunkel's song. I think it's Leaves That Are Green is what it's called. And
that's funny because I think that's also in Gangster's Paradise.
Yeah, it is. It is. No, it is. And so that's
like I'm 23 now, where I live to see 24.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's so it went Simon and Garfunkel, Billy Bragg, Coolio. But it's kind of interesting because this next line in the next stanza it says, I loved you then as I love you still, though I put you on a pedestal, they put you on the pill.
Oh.
And it says, I don't feel bad about letting you go. I just feel sad about letting you know that I don't want to change the world. I'm not looking for New England. I'm just looking for another girl.
Mhm.
And so, I think he's speaking to the fact that maybe he is a protest singer, but he still has this kind of, I'm not looking for a New England. There may be problems around us. We may want this new world, but I just want a girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of what it's saying is this, like, I'm not trying to change the world. I'm just looking for a girlfriend. And so yeah. And so it's a really funny song, funny turns of phrase again. But
He's just exposing his whole career. It's like,
yeah,
all of this political work has just been just to find a date.
yeah. And really, this song is a verse, a refrain, a hook, and a verse. I mean, that's it. And that's very, it's neat to see that kind of approach. And then this one, and I don't know if you know where this comes from, but the title is The Man in the Iron Mask. So do you know what that is from?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I feel like I have heard that before.
It is from...
He's like, isn't he like in a tower, like locked up too? Or
right.
Also in the Iron Mask.
Yeah, and so the Man in the Iron Mask is it's kind of related to the Three Musketeers.
Okay.
It's also Alexander Dumas' book that he wrote. What the theory is that it was like a king and he was dying, but his brother wanted to take over, and so or there was two brothers, and one of the brothers wanted the power from when the king died, and so he locked up his other brother, who was the favorite, in an iron mask in a prison. And and there's been some mystery about who it is. So a mysterious prisoner who nobody knows who it is. And there's actually a movie called The Man in the Iron Mask that was in the 90s that they did, and the Three Musketeers saved the Man in the Iron Mask or something like that. It was okay. I think there's some relation there, but
yeah, I think I remember reading about it when I was also looking up stuff for the Elephant Man.
Yes. Okay. That's interesting.
Maybe in how the Elephant Man like initially covered his face or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But yeah.
And so the clever part of this is you realize when you start listening to it, it's I guess it's a love song, but not really. So I'll just read. So this is the guy. He says, "When he drops you off, I will not say, 'Who was that who so quickly drove away?' The things you've done and the places you've been, when I open the door for you, I will not let them in. As long as you come back to me, I will never ask. For you, I will be the Man in the Iron Mask." So this is a dude that's being cheated on constantly, and it's like, as long as you come back to me, I'll never ask. I'll just be the Man in the Iron Mask. So there's a lot of desperation in this, I think. In his songs, even the happy ones are just like still, again, kind of a punk thing. Now this one's very slow comparatively, and also these are all done on electric guitar. So only an electric guitar, fast or slow, that's it. It's him and it's Billy Bragg and his guitar, and that's it. So it's really kind of cool.
Do you know if he did anything like different tunings or any kind of effects like that, or like if it was just pretty straight?
No, it's very, very, I don't want to say very varied, but it's each song has different playings and techniques. And I think he did do some different tunings, because I've looked at the chord structures and stuff, and some of the stuff is just to play at the capo's way up on like the 8th fret and stuff. And then there's just that kind of thing. There's all kinds of variety. Some of the stuff's very fast, some of it's contemplative. There's a skiffle element, there's a punk element. So it's just he does have a sound. It's very clangy. Even the Man in the Iron Mask is this like do 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 do, like it's very do do do, like thinking. It's a darker sound, but it's still got that kind of clangy, kind of a reverb, kind of a electric sound. And then the last track for this section is The Busy Girl Buys Beauty, which is a neat, and so you can kind of picture where this is going, but it says it straight up. It says, the busy girl buys beauty, the pretty girl buys style, and the simple girl buys what she's told to buy, and sees her world through the brightly lit eyes of the glossy romance of fashion. So meaning, and it says glossy, so fashion magazines are glossy pages.
Okay, yeah.
So they also always talk about the glossy pages of the fashion magazine is another phrase in another song.
Okay.
And so he goes, of the glossy romance of fashion, where she can learn, ... top tips for the gas cook, successful secrets of a sexual kind, the daily drill for beautiful hair, and the truth about pain. And so you can just picture the magazine with all those high, like on the Cosmopolitan, they have top tips for the gas cook. And so she's seeing her world through this glossy magazine, the plain girl or the simple girl. And that's what the whole thing is that how these different folks, different perceived women, how they interact with fashion.
Okay.
And so it's cynical, but it's,
sure.
but it is fun. Especially because it's harsh to hear the simple girl buys what she's told to buy.
Yeah.
And it is sympathetic to that, but it is harsh. So that's really, it's fun to hear.
So is that the first album?
It's the first album, but it's all of this is on one album.
Yeah.
But that's the first album. And I didn't even know when I bought it, I just knew it was 21 songs and I just listened to it, it was, I just straight through. So who knows? But, and then we get to Brewing Up with Billy Bragg. And I will say that this has some newer topics in it.
Okay.
And it does show kind of an evolution in some ways. But these came out, just to give you an idea. The first one's 83, second one's 84, third one's 85.
Wow.
So he was cranking these out.
Yeah.
And this is 10 songs.
Okay.
11 songs. And then there's the 3. And the last 3 are distinctly separate.
Okay.
Then just because and you'll see the difference, but we'll just run through these real quick. So the first one is called It Says Here. And so this very much feels kind of like the Kenneth Fearing poems, where we talked about how he'd quote headlines and stuff. So this is like, it says here, and it says here, the unions will never learn. It says here that the economy is on the upturn. It says here, we should be proud that we are free and our free press reflects our democracy. So, and this tells you, and this song is so relevant right now.
Yeah.
And it always was, but the end of this, because of how things are right now, the end of the song says, it says here, do you ever wish that you were better informed? It says here that we can only stop the rot with a large dose of law and order. And that right there, because it's always the certain candidates are the law and order candidates. But are they really? And there's a magazine or a newspaper in England called The Sun.
Oh yeah.
And it's not great.
Not a great one.
It's a tabloid newspaper, and so it's kind of like Fox News in print form.
Right.
Is what it is. And so this is definitely against a critique or a scathing takedown of the British press, particularly the Sun newspaper.
Nice.
What this is. So
cool. I do think places like that are useful in that if you do see a headline from like a Sun or a Fox, you're like, okay, I know that's not true.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's I've been enjoying. So there's 2 different magazines. I'm sure there's more, but there's 2. So The Onion, you always know, is a goof, and theirs are fairly extreme, and so it's easier to see. There's another that is also the same, and theirs are too close. I think he was in the New Yorker for a while, and then Borowitz Report. Have you ever seen those?
Okay, that does sound familiar.
Yeah, it's Adam Borowitz, and anyway, it's just really interesting. His stuff is too close to truth, and so those ones are funny because There's one the other day. I was like, is that a real headline? And then I looked down. I was like, no, that's that.
I think it's even crazy, like sometimes how not far off the Onion is.
Oh yeah,
with other things.
Yeah.
Like this should be an Onion headline, but it's not. It's real.
Yeah, when it's so bad that you have to tell somebody that this is not from the Onion is a bad day. All right, this one is called "Love Gets Dangerous," and it's about having an affair.
Thanks.
So, and that, I mean, it says everything about it. It says there's a fear that comes from being in danger, being in love with a total stranger, putting our futures in jeopardy. When love is a secret, fear is the key. So it does, it doesn't glorify it, but it is. That is what it's about. So that one's but this one's also one of the ones that starts off with in his first album, a lot of the songs just started the singing and the playing at the same time. So he just go into the song like doon doon doon, and he's just into the song. This one has this long intro solo.
Okay.
And it's got a lot of I think he used a lot of pedals on it. It's got a lot of different tones. It's upbeat, and then he gets into the song. So I think it's a little bit longer because of that.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because he's kind of developing. But so you've got cynical about the news, song about an affair. Then the next one's the myth of trust.
Okay.
I'm like, I think he was looking for a girlfriend, and then he found one, and then they broke up.
Yeah.
Because
didn't go too well.
Yeah, because it's like it starts. I woke up this morning to find that we have outlived the myth of trust. You woke up this morning to the fact that we've lost the things we took for granted between us. And the rest of it is just, and that's like the intro. And the rest of it is how he had this idea of what should happen, and she cheated on him.
Okay.
So he goes, I grew up in love with this girl and this idea. And I found out that what happened yesterday. Oh no, he cheated on her. Sorry. He says, and when you found out what happened yesterday while you were away in this land of Cain, which is interesting, we were upstairs in the bedroom dancing, disgusting, and flushing our babies down the drain. So like he's,
Yeah.
But he says, and this line, he says, and the apple that don't want to get eaten will still fall off the tree. So, he's like, it was the forbidden apple, forbidden fruit is what he partook in. So,
right.
And the very cynical thing, for the facts of life are not man and wife, but man and woman, sadly.
Oh.
So, which is, and just if you listen to his whole career, he does find happiness. He is married.
Eventually.
He has a son. His son's actually a performer, an artist now. He does find happiness. These early albums, he's struggling. So it's very interesting because these are a lot of love-ish songs or breakup songs, and a goodly portion of them he's screwed up.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, at least he recognizes that he's the problem, or
yeah, no,
he's to blame.
He's an honest guy. This one is from a Vauxhall Velox, is what it's called.
Okay,
and I think that's a car. Yeah, it's an old car. It's a British car.
Okay,
so I think the idea is, again, a love song, from the back of his car.
Okay.
It's not quite that, but this one has a lot of clever phrases in it. Well, it has some it says, but it starts with this scene of, she said, do these seats fold down? And I said, if you pull the handle. And all the time she'd been waiting for something with a little more, and all her mates on the new estates were walking out in confetti and sunshine. So she wasn't married yet. I think this is the illusion is she was waiting for something better. All of her friends were getting married.
Okay.
And then there's some stuff about her and her family that he says, but then it says the end part is what always catches me. The third verse says, some people say love is blind, but I think that's just a bit short-sighted. I like that,
Yeah.
And then it says, some people just want it now. It doesn't matter where or how. Satisfaction takes a second place so long as they can get excited. So there's there's a critique there of, immediate, there's not delayed satisfaction. There's a want for immediate,
like hookup
yeah,
culture.
hookup. Yeah, exactly. So it's a fun song. It's and this one actually he does layer some backing vocals on it because there's a
Okay.
so those lines they don't say oh no, this one's simple. It's the love gets dangerous. Sorry, love gets dangerous has a love gets dangerous, and there's like this. I think it's just him, but it's layered. It sounds like 4 or 5 people. But this one's just a straightforward rocker. Sorry, and then the Saturday Boy. Now this one's a great song. It's a longer one. There's not really a chorus to it. Doesn't say the Saturday Boy either. Like this is another one. But it says this is another line that I think about in my head. And it says because it's talking about I'll never forget the first day I met her in that September, and so that's when school starts. So he met her at the beginning of school. She was this. He calls her a magic mystery, and we'd sit together in double history twice a week. Some days we'd walk the same way home, and then. It said, we dreamed of her. So I think this is him talking to his friends. We dreamed of her and compared our dreams, but that was all that I ever tasted. So it's still, it's an and then it says the times we were close were far and few between. And then in the darkness at the dances in the school canteen, did she close her eyes like I did as we held each other tight? So he got to dance with her. And it says, and la 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 means I love you. And that's a song. That's an old, there's a old like 60s song. It goes la 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 la, and it's
like nonsense word.
Well, it's the chorus from a song. Means I love. So it's an allusion to that song because I think he sings that line just as a lift from how they sing it in the song. But it's just an old song they would have played when he was in high school. So he says, so he kept fantasizing about her. And he says, but I never made the first team. I just made the first team laugh. So, like he never made it. And and then in the end, it took me a dictionary to find out the meaning of unrequited.
Oh,
so he didn't understand what was going on. And so it's just this memory of a girl that he had a fascination with that he never did anything with. So it's a very nice, very vulnerable song. Also a big song that fans of him love. So, and then we get into some more serious songs. There's The Island of No Return.
Okay.
And this is a straight up, it says, there's some people giving commentary. It says, speaking on the painful Falklands War, Billy, he dispels the idealistic view on battles and notes the great death and chaos he saw. So this one is just about fighting an unwinnable war.
Oh, okay.
And so it's very, I think it says, pick up your feet, fall in, move out. We're going to a party way down south. I can already taste the blood in my mouth. We're going to a party way down south. So, wars and most things are south of Britain.
Yeah, pretty much.
Most of the world. So, so that's just, and then how pointless it is because he says, I never thought that I would be fighting fascists in the Southern Sea. I saw one today, and in his hand was a weapon that was made in Birmingham, England. So, it's really pointless to have this war because the only people that are benefiting are the weapons manufacturers. So it's very cynical. I know he doesn't support war. And then the next one's Saint Swithin's Day. It says it's about two star-crossed lovers revisiting one day. And it says, and it's kind of interesting because Saint Swithin's Day is a holiday in England, and this is just a love song thinking back on times he spent together with a past love interest. It says, going through it, he's just saying their memories, and he says, thanks all the same, but I just can't bring myself to answer your letters. It's not your fault, but your honesty touches me like a fire, and the Polaroids that hold us together will surely fade away like the love that we spoke of forever on St. Swithin's Day. So he's like, wow, I just can't, and it's pretty poignant. So and then again, another war one, like soldiers do. And this, it says, our fathers were all soldiers. Shall we be soldiers too, fighting and falling like soldiers do? And so it's not a very a nice picture of it either,
Yeah.
and just talking about how it's not a clear war, and just how they're going down dying.
Mm-hmm.
And it does address it very poetically, but it's it's not a pleasant thing.
Yeah. No.
So
Still.
then we get to get some good songs again.
Cool.
And this
Yeah,
one,
bum you out first.
yeah, and this one's called it's so funny. Again, doesn't use the title in the song, but it's called "This Guitar Says Sorry." And it's kind of about two other people that got together and it didn't last. And it's only 9 lines. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, but it's great, and it's still a great song. It says, Sandra met Raymond at the race relations, much to the dismay of her family and friends. And it's really funny because it kind of steps outside, because there is after every line, it says, the love that we have is so important. So it says 2 lines and it says, the love that we have is so important. And then the next one is, the time that it takes to make a baby can be the time it takes to make a cup of tea. The love that we have is so important. He still goes dancing and she still cuts hair. They put the baby into council care. The love that we have is so they got together, had a baby, put it up for adoption. So this love was so important, but what actually happened with it, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And it's just, I think the brevity of it contributes to the message. You know, this was a quick thing, and but it has lasting impact, and think before you shoot, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great song, but it's
Yeah. Like a small act still creates a whole person that's going to have a whole experience.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah, and so it just, as you can tell as we're getting through this, it just runs the gamut, right? The top subject matter. The next one, Strange Things Happen, again, runs the gamut. This one's it's kind of this he's thinking about her. It says, strange things happen when you're not around. Our love is so strong it moves objects in my house. And it's just kind of it's a longer song as lyrically, but he's just like he's kind of yelling it out. It's more strained voice. He goes, all winter long while I was locked in my room, your face at the window and my hair on the floor, I was thinking of you. And he repeats that, and he says, but the phone rang all night long to tell me I was wrong, and I watched while the officer wrote all their ages down. And it's just this weird thing.
Wow. Yeah.
Strange things happen. Like he's like, I was thinking of you, but then I watched this thing happening. And it's just like, it's a kooky lyrically. There's just a lot going on, but the way he sings it, again, these are kind of great the way it's sung.
Yeah.
Now,
that's cool.
This one's a full-on ballad, and I really love it. It's a longer song, but it's called A Lover Sings, and this one is just a great song. And it's another one that goes through my head because it says, you and I are victims of a love that lost a lot in the translation. And there's a lot of clever things. And then when I think of all the time that I spent of sitting on the edge of your bed in anticipation of you giving in and us living in sin. Like we're not translating our intentions very well.
Right.
And then he has kind of a chorus that comes in. It says, late at night, a lover sings. And that's kind of the thing. He kind of carries that. And then the chorus is Adam and Eve are finding out all about love. Oh. So, you know, it's like we're all kind of innocently discovering what it means to be in love. Yeah. Another line is, there's no real substitute for a ball struck squarely and firmly, and you're the kind of girl who wants to open up the ball of pop too early in the journey. Like there's a lot of double meanings here, And it says, and then it's.
That's what I was thinking. Like, did he get kneed in the crotch at some point?
I think she wanted to partake too early, like they didn't know each other well enough. And then the line right after the pop one is our love went flat just like that. Like cool. We did this too early. We got to know each other too well too early. Yeah. And then it's the last verse is has the line "wedding cake and toothache equals love and pain." So, but then it's the Adam and Eve are finding out all about love, and then at the last line it kind of repeats and it says Teresa and Steve are finding out all about love, and so just making that so it's nice, but it's all the things that happen, and late at night a lover thinks of these things. So.
Were Teresa and Steve real people, or
I think he's just,
if he knows them?
Yeah, I think it's just in his world. He does sing a version, so he has just as a side to this, and it's within character. He has some songs, like he has one called "Sexuality" that has the line, "Just because you're gay doesn't mean I'll turn you away. Like I'm not going to turn you away just because of that." And a bunch of other stuff. But he also, in concert, will sing, he'll, instead of Teresa and Steve, he'll say Adam and Steve are finding out all about love.
Oh yeah, cool.
So, he uses it. And so that wraps up the Brewing Up with Billy Bragg.
Okay.
And then the final three are really interesting because there's it's called Between the Wars, and is the EP, and Between the Wars is the song. Okay. And Between the Wars is talking about, so it just kind of explains it. It says, "I was a miner, I was a docker, I was a railwayman between the wars. I raised a family in time of austerity." So between First World War and Second World War, there was an austerity movement in England.
Okay.
And so he worked a job, raised a family in time of austerity with sweat at the foundry between the wars. And then I paid the union, and as times got harder, I looked to the government to help the working man. But they brought prosperity down at the armory. We're arming for peace, my boys, between the wars. So it's just this kind of critique of how politics are. They're not helping the common man. They're just preparing for war.
Right.
And so, and these songs, I think a few of them, I know he didn't write all of these ones on the EP. So I think he wrote Between the Wars. The next one is, I'm going to go to the last song actually, because the middle one's my favorite, but there's another called Which Side Are You On? And it's just, which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? And this one I know was written by another guy. So this was another protest singer. And he's and it's just, which side are you on? And it's a takedown of the unions of the government breaking picket lines.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's and the police are busting the union lines, and it's a union song. And so he's very pro union. He has another song that he did write called "There's Power in a Union." And so I got the education. I didn't know anything about unions as much, and then thought, oh, unions must be good. And then I was forced to join the union when I worked for an airline.
Oh, okay.
And it gave me, all it did was take money out of my paycheck, I guess.
Oh, no.
It seemed like, I don't know, but I know that they are good. It just, not all of them are as beneficial as other ones.
Sure.
Last but not least, it's called "The World Turned Upside Down." And this is a cover of a song by Leon Rosselson from 1975 called "Diggers Songs." And it's a protest song, and it's a very long one. And it's about the Diggers, which was a group of people that began in 1649 in England. And they were proto-Marxists who believed that all land should be free for everyone to use.
Oh, okay.
So
gotcha.
They were, early socialist, communist, communal living type.
Okay.
So that's what this is based on, kind of all of those songs, and it's just great, and it just it's probably the first song he ever put down that is of a different style, meaning that it's more of like a folk storyteller type song, because it's a long song. It tells the whole story of the Diggers, and then it says, and it's just a bunch of lines like the sin of property we do disdain, or by theft and murder they took the land. We come in peace to dig and sow, to work the lands in common, to make the wastelands grow. It's just a poem, really. Yeah. It's just straightforward, the whole thing. And then it just ends with the police or whatever it was back then, and then the orders came to cut them down. So they were brought down because they were trying to live in common.
Yeah.
So that's a long journey through a long album. But I don't know if it kind of made sense to see that through line of influence that was Billy Bragg. I think it's a very valuable album because it spawned his career. He's still making out. He's still published, from 83 until now. He's still releasing albums. He's still very politically active. He's still touring. And the thing to bring back around is that he was so well respected that so Woody Guthrie is very prolific and wrote tons and tons and tons of lyrics, but the fact that from 1956 on he was hospitalized and couldn't play guitar anymore, they never got made into songs.
Oh, okay.
And so his daughter gave permission to Billy Bragg to write music because she respected what he was doing for some of the lyrics. So he was given access to the archives. And so he pulled in an American band, Wilco, who's an Americana type band.
Yeah.
And thus far, they have 3 albums under the Mermaid Avenue title, volume 1, 2, and 3, that they've produced of his songs. And so that's really neat to see the continuation of Woody Guthrie's music. He had a lot of different artists help him sing on this, and along with Wilco, and just to hear more Woody Guthrie, but that he was so well respected by Guthrie's family that Billy Bragg was given the rights to do this.
Yeah,
and
that's really cool.
Yeah, it just speaks to his style, and his albums get more musical. He has more of a band with him in later albums, but these early ones are really a good starting place and show his ability. And also, I just want to note that do you know what's written on Woody Guthrie's guitar?
Yeah, is that this machine kills fascists?
Yeah, that's I think that could be written on a lot of what Billy Bragg's guitars.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when the song was this guitar says I'm sorry. Or sorry. Yeah,
this guitar says sorry. Yeah, it is kind of that play on words, right? And so just the cleverness of his writing, and there's only about 20,000 I mean, it's not that many, but there's at least 100 more songs of his that are clever.
Yeah, right.
just in the same way. And some of them are sad, some of them are dark, some of them are protest, but they are all the human experience and all very much inspiration for myself anyway. So
awesome. I really like thinking about now and thinking about protest songs and how it just seems like they always will relate to what's going on.
Yeah
And so it makes me either think that it's just the same problems coming up again, or it's never been solved.
I think that that's correct. I think that those issues that haven't been solved yet are probably what's still being sung about. And that some of the issues that we think are solved aren't solved. So there's still women's rights issues. There's still racism. There's still government oversight, wars. Yeah. I think we have less in the way of like world wars going on. So there's not, but there's still the social issues that are just not given up. And it gets, I think that the natural evolution of this is from punk and Billy Bragg is rap. There's a lot of rap music that is also protested, also addresses social issues, that also does it in a very raw way, but fun. It can dance to it. But
that's what I was thinking. Like, it's hard for me to think of any protest songs now, even though there's plenty to protest.
Yeah,
I can't think of too many huge examples of protest songs. The most I can really think of are from like the George Floyd protest era.
Yeah.
There was a lot of really great songs that came out of that, and in protest, and they all were more towards hip hop and R&B,
as they should be. I think you see it more. I think there's more screaming about injustice in what's still in the punk range right now, because the poppy stuff just isn't going to address it.
Yeah,
they're going to address individual things or beefs. Like Kendrick's performance was a protest song.
Yeah,
but the songs were not necessarily protest songs. So
Right.
that's that. And it was more, this is a beef, and I'm singing about it. It has wide ranging. They're not like us. Still
Yeah.
speaks to not just the beef. It speaks to the wider problem.
Or taking the attention to
Right. And
bring eyes to it.
so the protest singers are still there. They're just not at the forefront of the music industry right now.
Yeah.
So, and that's the hard part, and that speaks to also, we don't have a unifying issue. You know, the protest songs of the 60s, everybody was really didn't want the Vietnam War. So
Yeah.
there's a unifying issue of the Vietnam War and the civil rights movement all at once.
Right.
And so I think that's what's moved. That's what we're lacking right now to really make it stand out. So, but
Yeah.
Billy Bragg still writes them.
Cool. That's good.
The one I like most recently is he has one called "I Will Be Your Shield." So that's neat. It's like he'll stand up for you and with you against all the stupid voices.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
all right.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for sharing. That was great.
As a lot. So, but
It's good because I know that Billy Bragg was definitely around a lot growing up. I feel like, were some of the songs on that album ever like re-recorded with a full band? I feel like I remember at least the New England one. I remember hearing a fuller version that was still Billy Bragg.
So it could be. I think it was. I have to go back and listen to some of these because I think there's more orchestration coming as they go. But I think the re-recording of it was a lady that sung it. I think Billy Bragg was supporting her on the re-recording.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I know there's also some re-releases or reissues of songs that he's done too. Mostly the first few albums was just him and a guitar with some instrumentation coming in. And then the newer ones are full bands with him. Just, yeah, and that in and of itself is just neat, and it speaks to some larger events that you just wouldn't think of, and it seems like just a nice song, and then you find out what that really means, and you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
Well, good. I appreciate you giving me the time to speak on this, and
Yeah, definitely.
I guess we can tell folks that we are trying to get this on more platforms. So
Yeah, it should be available most places where podcasts are, as far as I'm aware.
yes,
Yeah. Then we have an Instagram where there's pictures of things that
yeah.
we talk about. So in case you have no idea what it looks like, I don't know if that helps at all the enjoyment, but
I might have to drop some links to certain things in the Instagram just so there's some place to go. But yeah, if you're interested in more, I think we have an email linked to this all too, so you can always request a rundown of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks for the time, and I look forward to hearing from you next week, and have a great week yourself.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Take care.
Bye.